Our food supply is exhausted. We're down to our last bottle of water. We have no choice but to push on.
Hi, I'm Kim and this is my husband Wei. We are two over 50 travelers that have been living life on the road for the last 2 years with the goal of traveling to 60 countries before I turned 60. We were well on our way and in country number 17, Malaysia, when the coronavirus became a pandemic and the State Department told us to get home now. After 2 months of isolating with my mother-in-law, thanks Mom, we are now in Tucson to be near our boy and waiting for our other son to get unstuck and home from India. So while we wait for countries to let us in, we decided to see what the Southwest US has to offer. Hint, it offers a lot of desert, and you can see that on our hike to the Romero Pools.
Good morning, and it is early. Well, early for us anyway. We are off on our first hike in Tucson.
We're headed to the Santa Catalina Mountains, and we are looking for a set of waterfalls.
Well, pools, I think it's
Or
called.
pools, yeah.
Romero Pools. They say there's still water on this hike.
These mountains are 9,000 feet tall and get a lot of snow, so I'm counting on snowmelt and water seepage and springs feeding these pools.
Water seepage?
Yeah.
Okay then. Before we get started,
We must stop for coffee.
so we are here at the trailhead. The hike is about 5.5 miles out and back. It's pretty crowded, but we've been sort of watching the flow of people and we think we can still maintain our distance and do it. And if that means we have to go a little slower, oh, so be it. So we're off. So this is the Romero Canyon Trail, about a 35-minute drive outside of Tucson. And so far, the trail has been empty.
So, well, there's no evidence of running water here on the surface or surface water at all. It is really lush and green. You see these stunted mesquite trees are everywhere. I guess you could say we're in a stunted mesquite forest. Having grown up in a rural area and spent a lot of time outdoors hiking, I have become an expert at finding my way and reading signs. Certain deserts, including the Sonora Desert, is that you find water not at the lowest level, but trapped in the rocks. The canyon definitely has water. I'm looking at a waterfall. It's dry, I think. At least I can't see water from here. Question, of course, is how do we get down there? We read that the round trip mileage for this hike was 5 miles, and I'm no math whiz, but that puts the halfway mark, like when you get there, at 2.5 miles. According to our GPS, we've hiked 2.5 miles, and we just passed somebody who said that the pools were about 2 miles further. Video diary day 1. Our food supply is exhausted. We're down to our last bottle of water. We have no choice but to push on. We can only hope that the pools are over just the next ridge or just around the next corner. We have rounded the corner after coming over a ridge, and we are at the pools. Suddenly my mood is lifted and I'm feeling quite optimistic. Now that we're actually here, what a pleasant hike.
Keeper. It took us about just under 3.5 miles to find the Romero Pools. So I'm thinking that 5.5 mile out and back was a little inaccurate. But you get up here and you can hear the water flowing, and there's lots of shaded areas that you can sit down, have a picnic lunch if you thought to brought food. There's a cool breeze. It's pretty nice. In theory, we should be going downhill, but we are headed up. And as we're heading up, a swarm of something that makes a lot of noise just flew over our head and scared the living daylights out of me. I love nature most of the time. About 6.5 miles into our 5.5 mile out and back hike. We are out of water, but we should be close to our car. And I feel a little tricked because we thought this was going to be a little simple hike. And while moderate is an accurate description, it did have some steep parts and some bouldering, minimal bouldering to get up to the mountain. I got a boo-boo. I fell and I have cactus needles in my hand.
That was actually quite a miserable hike.
It was.
It really was.
Because it was longer than we thought, we were out in the high heat.
Right, it was a spiral. It was miserable for us.
I wouldn't say miserable. I think you need to not be so negative.
And now something just bit me on the ankle.
Oh no.
It's a fun hike too. There's a few challenging places, that you'll get through, but it's not just like a flat level open terrain all the way. It's a fun hike.
I actually didn't think it was that bad. My legs are totally wobbly on the way down. Overall, I thought it was a nice hike. It was relatively easy except for a few steep parts. I would do it again.
I would too, with
food and water.
We're headed to the Santa Catalina Islands.
No.
Nope. We're headed to the Santa Catalina Mountains. One of the silver linings of COVID-19 is that we can order our coffee online. It's paid for and it's waiting for us.
You could do that before.
But, that's not really because of COVID-19.
It's about 10 a.m. in the morning, maybe a little earlier, maybe a little later. I don't really, here, I'll look. we are gonna head back out and grab some lunch at some point. Well, 4 miles down the road.